The rain fell in relentless sheets, blurring the city's cold gray edges and soaking through every layer of clothing. People hurried past with umbrellas and tight collars, eager to escape the downpour. But in the shadow of a shuttered bakery, a young woman sat on the wet sidewalk, clutching a bundle to her chest as if it were her last tether to life. Her hair hung in damp, tangled strands, her lips trembled from more than just the chill, and her eyes, wide, red, and desperate, locked onto the uniformed social worker standing over her. "Please, please don't take my baby," she choked out, her voice breaking on the words. The infant whimpered in her arms, swaddled in a blanket that was far too thin for the bitter wind. Half a block away, a tall man in a black overcoat had stopped mid-stride. He should have kept walking. His calendar was already packed, his mind occupied with a deal worth millions, but something about that voice cut through the city noise like a siren in the night. He turned, scanning the scene, and for a moment, the rest of the world faded. He saw a mother on the brink of losing everything, and an official ready to pull her child away. His jaw clenched. He knew what that moment felt like. Before we go further, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of one choice to change a life, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Royal Stories. Every act of support helps us bring you more stories that matter. His name was Ethan Ward, 38 years old, CEO of Ward Global Enterprises, a man the press called the Steel Gentleman. He was used to making hard decisions in boardrooms, not back alleys. But something inside him, buried under years of ambition and loss, stirred. Maybe it was because he'd once been a single parent himself, raising his own daughter after his wife's sudden death. Maybe it was because he remembered how helpless it felt to have no one in your corner. Or maybe it was because he'd promised himself, years ago, that if he ever had the power to stop someone else from falling through the cracks, he would. The social worker's voice was steady but firm. "Miss, we've had multiple reports. You've been seen sleeping outside for weeks, no stable address, no food stamps claimed, no proof of income. For your baby's safety," but the woman shook her head violently, holding the child closer, as if her love alone could shield him. Ethan's pulse quickened. The baby's tiny fist peeked out from the blanket, trembling in the cold air. He could see the mother's shoes, worn to holes, and the way her knuckles had gone pale from gripping so tightly. Ethan stepped forward. "Wait," he said, his voice carrying a weight that made both heads turn. The woman's eyes darted to him, frightened, unsure, but he saw a flicker of hope in them, too. He introduced himself briefly, though the name seemed to mean little to her. To the social worker, however, recognition was instant. Ethan Ward wasn't just wealthy, he was respected, connected, and known for his philanthropic work. He knelt beside the woman, rain soaking into his tailored coat, and spoke softly so only she could hear. "What's your name?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Lena." Her voice was hoarse, tired. He asked where she was staying, if she had family, if she had any way to care for her baby right now. Her answers came haltingly, the truth spilling out between sobs. Her parents gone, an abusive relationship she'd escaped with nothing but her newborn, the shelters full, the streets the only place left. She hadn't eaten properly in days, saving every crumb she could for the baby. The social worker shifted uncomfortably, reminding them of policy, of safety protocols. Ethan looked at Lena again and saw the same fear he'd once felt. The terror of losing the only thing that kept you going. He made a decision in that moment, swift and absolute. He would not let her child be taken. He would not walk away. The hours that followed blurred together. Ethan took them both to a nearby cafe, ordering food Lena could barely bring herself to eat. The baby, though, drank greedily from the bottle the staff warmed for him. Ethan arranged a hotel room for them that night, insisting on fresh clothes, baby formula, and a doctor's visit. Lena sat on the bed later, staring at the carpet, unsure if she should thank him or prepare herself for the moment he'd disappear from her life like everyone else had. But Ethan didn't disappear. In the days that followed, he checked in every morning before work, bringing breakfast and groceries, making sure the baby, named Oliver, had everything he needed. At first Lena resisted his help, her pride bruised, her trust shattered from too many broken promises. But Ethan's presence was steady, unyielding. He never pried, never judged, never asked for anything in return. As winter deepened, so did their connection. Lena began to open up, about her dreams before life had derailed them, about the art she once loved to create, about the guilt that haunted her for not being able to give Oliver the life he deserved. Ethan listened, his own memories stirred of nights when he'd stayed awake, wondering if he was enough for his daughter. Then came the night when the hotel manager informed Lena her stay was up. The panic in her eyes was instant, but before she could spiral, Ethan handed her a key, not to another hotel, but to a small, warm apartment in a safe neighborhood. "It's yours," he said simply. She shook her head, protesting she couldn't accept something so huge. But Ethan only replied, "It's not charity. It's a second chance." Over the weeks, Lena's transformation was slow but profound. She found part-time work at a local bookstore, a place that let her bring Oliver on quiet afternoons. She began painting again, her canvases reflecting hope instead of despair. Ethan visited often, sometimes with his daughter Sophie, who quickly took to playing big sister to Oliver. The laughter in Lena's home was a sound she hadn't thought she'd hear again. But the world wasn't ready to let go of its doubts. Whispers started, that Lena was taking advantage of Ethan's kindness, that he was blinded by misplaced sympathy. Reporters began circling, hungry for a scandal. One winter afternoon, a journalist confronted Lena outside the bookstore, shoving a microphone toward her, implying she was a gold digger aiming for the CEO's fortune. The sting of those words was sharp, reopening wounds she thought had healed. That night, she considered packing a bag, leaving before Ethan realized she didn't deserve his faith. When Ethan found her with tears in her eyes and a suitcase half-zipped, he didn't lecture or plead. He simply said, "Oliver doesn't just need food and shelter. He needs you. And you're not alone anymore." That was the night Lena finally believed him. Months later, on Oliver's first birthday, their small apartment was filled with friends, neighbors, and the scent of homemade cake. Lena stood by the window, watching Ethan toss Oliver gently into the air while Sophie laughed beside them. For the first time in years, the future didn't terrify her. It felt like home. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Royal Stories. Your engagement helps us bring more hope, more humanity, and more moments that remind us what kindness can do. Special request to comment. Tell us below, what would you have done if you saw Lena that day in the rain? Your words could inspire someone else to take that step toward kindness.